Today's top stories. Malacanang resolves to pay for the return of the garbage that Canada dumped in the Philippines. The Senate approves on third and final reading a bill against Endo. Pag-asa expects the rainy season to start on June despite the continuing weak El Nino. And the DENR and Singapore finalized the deal for the joint conservation of the Philippine eagle.
Good day. I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Upset by the failure of Canada to get back containers of trash it dumped in the Philippines in 2013, President Rodrigo Duterte said he is willing to pay a private shipping company that will return the garbage to the North American country. More on this from Rom Dulfo.
Presidential spokesperson Sal Panelo said the president has decided to take matters in his own hands and let the Philippine government spend for the shipment following the delay after the Canadian government failed to meet the May 15 deadline set by Duterte. According to the spokesperson, it seemed like Canada is not taking the Philippines seriously, which is an insult to Filipinos.
President Rodrigo Roa Duterte is so upset about the inordinate delay of Canada in shipping back its containers of garbage. We are extremely disappointed. The government of the Philippines will shoulder all expenses and we do not mind.
He adds that if Canada will not accept the trash, the Philippines will leave the trash within Canada's territorial waters.
The president's stance is principled as it is uncompromising. The Philippines is an independent, sovereign nation, must not be treated as trash by other foreign nations. We hope this message resonates well with other countries of the world.
Panelo assures Filipino workers in Canada will not be affected by the trash row between the two countries. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
Senators approved on third and final reading a bill that will stop labor-only contracting or ENDO. Senator Joel Villanueva, who is the chair of the Senate Labor Committee, thanked his colleagues for supporting Senate Bill 1826, which aims to provide social protection to workers by ensuring security of tenure. He said the practice of contractualization affects more than 1.9 million workers in the private sector and that ending ENDO ensures a more efficient and more productive workers. He said the next phase towards the passage of the Security of Tenure Bill is in the BICAM. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde named today 3 police officials who may be his possible successor when he retires in November this year. These are PNP Deputy Chief for Operations Archie Francisco Gamboa, Directoral Staff Chief Camilo Pancratius Cascolan, and NCRPO Director Guillermo Eliazar. He said the 3 police officials have also been named by former PNP Chief and Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa as his bets for the PNP's top post. He said the 3 officials have the credentials and deserve to be the next PNP Chief. Albayalde will retire on November 8 upon reaching the mandatory retirement age of 56. He replaced De La Rosa, who retired in April of 2018. The Department of Environment and Natural Resources has closed down 10 establishments in Boracay for continuously operating without appropriate permits. The crackdown on the airing establishments was ordered amid reports that some restaurants cater exclusively to Chinese tourists with a signage and menu written only in Chinese characters. It was also observed that there was an increasing number of Chinese and Korean nationals working as tour guides, restaurant chefs, and staff. The Boracay Interagency Task Force ordered the closure of Belias Bar and Restaurant, Old Captain Cuisine, Ken Minimart, Ken Street Island Staff Restaurant, Coco Spa, Kim Ji Man, W Hostel Boracay Dragon, VIP Souvenir Shop, YH World Network Service Incorporated. The task force served the closure orders on Tuesday after conducting its inspections from May 7 to 9. Apart from the 10 establishments, 14 other establishments had incomplete requirements from the local government unit and from the Bureau of Fire Protection or BFP. The task force also plans to investigate the possible violations of these foreign-run businesses, including aliens staying and working in Boracay without valid work permits and visa. The Philippine Army has denounced a front organization of the New People's Army for spreading fake news on the alleged human rights abuses committed by government forces in Las Navas, Northern Samar. In a statement posted on social media, the Army's 20th Infantry Battalion branded the group Katungod Sinirangan Visayas Karapatan as liars as they advance the interest of the communist terrorist NPA. This after the NPA front posted photos on May 10 of the evacuation of about 20 residents of San Miguel Village and nearby communities due to alleged militarization. The villagers in Las Navas said the group Katungod Sinirangan Visayas Karapatan lured the residents to the town center to protest the alleged human rights abuses of the 20th IB, but were abandoned at the town plaza when none of the villagers affirmed the said abuses. The military has called on the communist rebels anew to stop the atrocities, lies, and deception. Still to come, Pag-asa expects the rainy season to start on June despite the continuing weak El Nino. Animal raisers in Negros Occidental report losing up to 4.6 million pesos due to extreme heat. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
The Environment, Tourism and Interior Departments recommended to close Boracay for 6 months.
To address issues such as illegal structures and faulty drainage systems that is affecting Boracay's prized beach.
The last time na nandito is 2017. It's actually crowded. Sobrang dami ng tao. Everywhere, makikita mo talaga bars and drinks and masamahalat talaga.
We had more cases of skin disease. We had more cases of diarrhea.
So nagkasama-sama lahat ng mga agencies, tiningnan ano ba ang plano natin sa Boracay, compliance on Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, at saka yung ating environmental compliance.
When they started demolishing, we saw that there was action, that they put their money where their mouth is.
Lahat ng nagamit na tubig ng customer, we collect it through our sewer lines and then it goes through a treatment process sa treatment plant.
It was nice that it happened. Finally, Boracay got the attention it is in deep need of.
I think a lot of work was done during the closure. The water is clear, the oceans are clean, and there seems to be a lot of wildlife returning. We had for the first time in 10 years, we had turtles hatching on the beach a couple of days ago.
During the closure, you could see like the eagles came back and everything that we have had for a long time.
Pumasyal pa nga yung mga kondito udanding, galing na Cebu.
In the end, it's a good thing, yes. It was hard for us, but it was also a wake-up call.
The beach was cleaned up and is officially set to reopen on October 26th.
Wala nang kumakain sa beach, bawal nang manigarilyo.
Gumanda yung isla namin as in bumalik sa dati na ambience.
We teach kids about pollution, solid waste management, because they're the ones who will sustain all the things that we're doing now.
Pag-asa expects the onset of wet or rainy season in the country by the first half of June, despite the possible persistence of El Nino in the next 3 months. Pag-asa said the weak El Nino, which has prevailed since February, will continue through the June to August period. It also has a chance to continue until the end of 2019. But even if the El Nino will persist in the coming months, the southwest monsoon or habagat season will still come to pass. The amount of rainfall will be generally normal by June, while generally near normal to above normal rainfall is expected by July. Pag-asa says a number of disaster cyclones occurred during an El Nino event and that the country could experience below normal tropical cyclone activity this year. The Department of Tourism on Tuesday warned the public against non-accredited entities engaged in travel and tours, airline ticketing, and other travel businesses. The public is strongly advised not to transact with non-accredited travel and tour agencies, as there can be no guarantee on reliability and legitimacy of their products and services. The DOT says entities with valid and existing accreditation have informative websites and online pages bearing the DOT's quality seal and their corresponding accreditation number with validity. For a complete list of DOT-accredited enterprises, the public is encouraged to visit the DOT's website, www.tourism.gov.ph. In our provincial roundup, health workers from the Mariano Marcos Memorial Hospital and Medical Center in Batac, Ilocos Norte brought a new twist to Flores de Mayo by highlighting public health advocacies. The celebration included a pageant-like Santa Cruzan procession wherein the 8 pairs of participating health workers paraded around the city while carrying their custom-made arches with designs that highlighted their public health advocacies. These include proper newborn hearing screening treatment, mother care, infant breastfeeding, nutrition and adolescent health clinics, animal bite treatment, diabetic clinic, tuberculosis treatment, and mental health program. In Negros Occidental, animal raisers incur more than 4 million peso losses due to extreme heat. The poultry sector, particularly broilers, incurred the biggest amount of losses worth 1.48 million pesos or 32%, while swine sector include around 1.1 million losses, equivalent to 26%, while the remaining 8% or more than 360,000 pesos accounts for losses in cattle. Aside from swine and chicken, some ruminants are also affected by the dry spell. And in Baguio City, incoming city officials led by Mayor-elect Benjamin Magalong are assured of a smooth transition when they assume their posts on June 30th. This as a transition team was created to prepare for an effective turnover of responsibility. The transition team would be tasked to conduct an inventory of all properties, assemble all documents and records, organize a turnover ceremony, and prepare the prescribed data capture form for submission to the DILG. And in sports, the Baweños will see the world's heavyweight boxers in action when Davao City hosts the Thrilla in Davao on June 15. The main event will feature former World Boxing Council North America light heavyweight champion Ronald Johnson tackling Saul, the Phoenix Assassin, Farah of Bolivia for the vacant Global Boxing Organization heavyweight title. Johnson, who holds a record of 15 wins and 1 loss, has been waiting for an opportunity to stake his claim as a future world titleist. On the other hand, Farah has won the WBC Latino heavyweight and the Bolivian Cruiserweight Championship with a record of 69 wins with 60 by way of knockout, 23 losses, and 3 draws. It has been 44 years following the 1975 Thrilla in Manila, held in the country's capital during the Marcos years. The Thrilla in Davao is a 54-round boxing extravaganza presented by the Red Boxing in cooperation with the city government. Up next, the DENR and Singapore finalized a deal for the joint conservation of the Philippine eagle. Health experts encourage the public to learn to self-monitor their blood pressure to prevent hypertension. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
the midterm election bring any effects on the rehabilitation progress?
The midterm election will not affect our rehabilitation process, and all the projects are being implemented by the national government. So the midterm election did not adversely affect the conduct of the rehabilitation in Marawi City.
And my second question is, what do you think of the China participation in the rehabilitation progress? Do you have some advice for it?
We are grateful to the Chinese government for the grant of more than 200 heavy equipment, 47 equipment in Marawi City, worth about 256 million pesos. And of course, the grant for the construction of the sports complex, Grand Padian Market, roads and bridges, the process is ongoing. And hopefully, all these projects will commence within the year.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, already proclaimed the winning senatorial candidates and party list groups, while Malacanang earlier said it expects the newly elected leaders to support the Duterte administration's programs. We asked our kababayans what are their thoughts and expectations as well.
Na sana po yung mga problema ngayon sa industriya natin magampanan nila ng maayos yung posisyon nila sa Senado.
Sana po mawakas sana po yung corruption kasi feeling ko po yun po talaga yung isa sa mga dahilan kung bakit hindi po umuunlad yung bansa natin. Kung mismong yung mga opisyal po ng gobyerno sa atin yung mismong gumagawa ng hindi maganda. Tapos yun po, sana po mawakas na po yung corruption sa bansa.
Yung hiling ko lang po sa kanila is yung yung mga batas po nila sana po hindi yung puro salita lang. Mas more on maipatupad po nila yun.
Sana po yung pagbabago lang. Para sa ating kaunlad ng ating bansa. Yun lang. At saka maging tapat sila sa napisil nilang posisyon.
Paayusin na nila, wala na puro korap. Kasi pag puro korap, masyadong mulubog yung bansa natin. Yun po.
Masasabi ko lang, kailangan wala nang korap ngayon. Kasi sa daming tao ngayon nga naghihirap, dapat galingan nila yung nila sa plataforma nila sa Senado.
The Department of Environment and Natural Resources on Monday formalized a wildlife loan agreement on lending a pair of Philippine eagles for conservation-related purposes. DENR Secretary Roy Cimatu said the signing of the deal would ensure that there will be Philippine eagles left in Singapore for breeding in case catastrophe like avian disease outbreak hits the country and wipes out their species. The pair of eagles, which consists of a 15-year-old male eagle, Geothermica, and 17-year-old female eagle, Sam Bisig, will be brought to Singapore on June 4. Cimatu said the DENR is open to the possibility of lending Philippine eagles for breeding in other countries as well. Indonesian President Joko Widodo wins a second term in office, beating former General Prabowo Subianto. Widodo won with 55.5% votes, while former Army General Prabowo Subianto obtained 44.5% votes. Widodo also beat Subianto in the 2014 election. The General Elections Commission would legally set Joko Widodo and Maruf Amin as the elected president and vice president on May 24, unless a lawsuit is lodged in the nation's constitutional court related to the election results. Prabowo's camp earlier demanded to repeat the presidential election in 5 provinces where they claimed the elections were marred with fraud. Health experts on Thursday encouraged the public to perform blood pressure monitoring at home amid the rising cases of hypertension among Filipinos. In a press briefing on Friday, Dr. Lailani Mercado Asis of the Philippine Society of Hypertension said they aim to increase the blood pressure awareness to 80%, treatment rate to 60%, and a control rate of 30% by 2022. She said hypertension is a silent killer, and one of the best ways to detect it is through daily self-monitoring, which can be done at home with the use of a digital blood pressure monitor. The public's awareness on blood pressure is said to reduce blood pressure-related deaths by 25% and save about 30,000 Filipinos yearly. Meanwhile, Philippine Heart Association President Nanette Ray said digital or oscillatory blood pressure monitors are more accurate in determining hypertension. She said, if you're doing the test at home, do it 3 times. After the first checking, rest 5 minutes, do a second checking, rest, and then third checking and do an average. She also advised the public to exercise regularly and to keep an active lifestyle to beat hypertension. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories.
Malacanang resolves to pay for the return of the garbage that Canada dumped in the Philippines. The Senate approves on third and final reading a bill against Endo. Pag-asa expects the rainy season to start on June despite the continuing weak El Nino. And the DENR and Singapore finalized the deal for the joint conservation of the Philippine eagle.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA